Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we are talking about the College of Grandmother's Tales. Yes, that's what it's called.
How do you get a scholarship to that university?
Nobody knows. But this one is from the MCDM's Arcadia number 8.
Yes.
If you're new to the channel or the series, what we're going to do is go through all the abilities gained in the subclass, and we're going to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained in the subclass improve on the base class abilities.
That too.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond bundle giveaway.
Because we want to give you stuff.
All that being said, let's just get right into it.
Well, if we have the College of Grandmother's Tales, she have to tell her tales from something. So we have the Book of Tales. Yes. When you join the College of Grandmother's Tales at 3rd level, you receive a book of fairy tales, sheet music, or poetry that you use as a spellcasting focus for your bard spells. If you lose this focus, you must write or purchase a new book.
Oh.
So, cool flavor more than anything, and it does give you your spellcasting focus built into the subclass. So, cool. On to actual abilities. We start with Have a Bite. You learn the Poison Spray cantrip, which doesn't count against a number of bard cantrips you know. Great, so bards actually get a better damaging cantrip than Vicious Mockery. Couldn't think of what that was for a split second there. Anyway, additionally, as an action, you can expend one use of your Bardic Inspiration, choose one creature within 30 feet of you that can hear you, and roll the Bardic Inspiration die. The target must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the target takes poison damage equal to the roll plus your Charisma modifier and is poisoned for 1 minute. A poison creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. On a successful save, the target takes only half damage and isn't poisoned. At 5th level, a creature that fails the saving throw against this feature becomes poisoned and falls prone. So it just knocks them on their butt. It's so potent. At 10th level, a creature that fails its saving throw against this feature becomes poisoned and falls prone, and while poisoned in this way, the creature speed is reduced to 0.
Oh no. So they stuck prone.
So they stuck prone on their butt. At 15th level, a creature that fails to save throw against this feature becomes poisoned, falls prone, and while poisoned, speed is reduced to 0, and it's incapacitated.
Oh goodness.
So
that's a bad apple. Got him.
Awful. So you basically every few levels or so, the poison in your poisonous apple just gets more ridiculous.
Love it. Also at 3rd level, because why not, we have Horrifying Performance. As an action, you can perform a short tale or song about a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see. Every creature of your choice that can hear you and is within 15 feet of the target must succeed a wisdom save against your spell save or be frightened of the target for 1 minute. A frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the start of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. The creature has disadvantage on the saving throw to end the effect if it has taken damage from the target since the end of its last turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So it's actually an interesting party synergy kind of thing because you have to pick another person to tell a tale about.
Yes.
So interesting with that one.
And it would be have fun with it. Don't always pick the big barbarian. Pick the quiet little gnome wizard over there on the side. Just don't read his books. Like, that guy. You do not want to mess with that guy. You take his book, he just turns you into ash. You know? Just have fun with it. I encourage you. Next up is the level 6 ability, Granny's Here. You can use your action to summon a I couldn't help it. You can use your action to summon a spectral witch from a book of tales, sheet music, or other storytelling device. It uses the ethereal hag stat block and shares your proficiency bonus. The hag is friendly to you and your companions, seeing all of you as her grandchildren. She lives for 1 hour until she is reduced to 0 hit points or until you die. And there is a wonderful stat block, which we will put up here.
Ta-da.
That shows you off what the ethereal hag is going to be able to do. I will highlight the damage resistances of cold, fire, poison, and immune to being charmed. Yeah, so that's all wonderful. Has mimicry ability, has etherealness, it has a horrifying appearance, so there's a frighten it can do as well. In combat, the ethereal hag shares your initiative count, but takes her turn immediately after yours. She can move and use her reaction on her own, but the only action she takes on her turn is the dodge action, unless you use a bonus action on your turn to command her to take another action. That action can be one of her stat block or some other action. If you are incapacitated, she can take any action of her choice, not just the dodge action. And once you summon the ethereal hag, You can only do so again until you finish a long rest. So it is a once-a-day feature.
Yes. And then lastly, we have at level 14, Poisonous Performance. Your horrifying performance affects creatures of your choice that can hear you within 30 feet of the target. If a creature fails its saving throw against your horrifying performance, you can immediately use Have a Bite against it as a reaction. The target has disadvantage on the saving throw against Have a Bite. So, now you have another way to trigger that absolutely demoralizing ability.
Internal synergy.
Absolutely.
With itself.
Speaking of, we're going to move on into the rating portion of the video.
Yeah.
First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always. Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background, that's on you as a player. Can't rate you, but can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those role-play scenarios. So, all that being said, we get some interesting options to say the least. Of course, your spellcasting focus, that thing is, as we kind of were saying, is more of a flavor thing than anything. If anything, it might be more of a hindrance to keep care of that object.
Sure.
And it does say you can use it, you don't have to. And of course, if you really have, material component pouch, whatever, there's ways to cast stuff, so you don't really have to worry about it all that much. But, it is a nice flavor thing for sure. Mechanically, not so much. There definitely is some RP with the horror story thing. As Alex was saying, you can set up this big old story about this character. It could just be some random guy at the bar, who's over there picking his nose in the corner.
Absolutely.
Or it could be, someone in your party. Just all kinds of stuff you could do with that for sure. And then, the Have a Bite thing is potential for RP, but there is that damage involved.
Yeah.
It is more about the condition and, the falling prone and incapacitated, that kind of thing, which, it could come into play for sure. You're only ever going to do, a Bardic Inspiration's worth of poison damage, so
it's much more about the effect than...
Right, for sure. Now, you have to keep in mind the average, NPC character is not going to have a ton of health. You're talking about like less than level 1 characters. They're going to have like 6 or 8 health. Yeah. You could potentially kill something. So you have to be really careful with what you pick and choose to do.
Like, my bad, man.
Right. Or, if you could maybe do some shenanigans as well with your party, and they just, like, it doesn't say you can do it, but you could have them willingly fail just to, make it look like someone passed out or incapacitated or something. Sure, whatever. There's some super niche stuff that could be done on that side of things. And of course, too, just summoning an ethereal hag, terrifying for one. And then with the mimicry, where you can, throw their voice to different places and, come in and out of the ethereal plane, terrifying. And then, of course, the actual horrifying appearance for frightened. You can stage all kinds of craziness.
You run your own haunted house up with this thing.
That's where I was going to go with that kind of deal.
And he did not tell me that.
So yeah, you can do definitely some stuff with that. So very interesting with the roleplay side of things. We went with a 4 out of 5 for the roleplay. Solid options.
Yes. On the combat side of things, again, you have lots of interesting things here. Of course, with the Have a Bite starting off giving you the Poison Spray cantrip. It's great for bards because they don't have hardly any damaging cantrip options to start with. But of course, we start with the actual Have a Bite feature. The only thing that prevents this from being wonderful is it is a Constitution saving throw. Right. Because every time we come across this exact situation, we bring that up. There's a reason for that. But the way this scales up, if you can find something that isn't overly large, to target, usually enemy casters or, ranged attackers of such, you can get to them. Don't have as high of a constitution. The fact that you could eventually knock something prone, then reduce its speed to 0, so then it's not going anywhere, and then it's eventually incapacitated, you can absolutely annihilate something with something that just takes your Bardic Inspiration to be able to do.
Right.
You're going to get lots of that and get it back often. By the time it's getting really, really potent, you're going to have all kinds of uses of this. So, wonderful ability. The horrifying performance definitely has a use in combat because you've got a chance to fear stuff. So that is what it is. Then you get lots of fun with Granny's here because as nothing makes DMs happier than throwing extra things into the combat and the action economy than summoning something else.
Yeah.
But again,
More things to track.
But again, as we have brought up more and more as we do more and more of these videos, anything else that can be out there for your group that can take hits is a good
Absolutely.
thing. Because if you don't have enemy casters or stuff that is able to hit AoE in certain ways, and this can just be in the way, even if it just gives it a little bit of damage, it's taking hits that you're not taking or your wizard's not taking or whatever else, that's always a good thing.
Well, I mean, another thing just to point out quickly, too, is it's 10 plus 5 times your bard level hit points. So level 20, it's 110 health.
It can
soak some hits, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And AC of 16 is not great. It's not awful. But like I said, the 3 different damage resistances, and it can't be charmed. It's able to fear stuff itself. So you can fear with this and fear with yourself. So you can really try to mess with the battlefield in that way. You could even create like 2 different fear auras that you can't run this way and you can't run this way. And the barbarian standing over here is like, yes, come to me. Just cut it up. Yeah, wonderful. Again, and I'm glad they made this adjustment after realizing, well, not they, as in like people are doing this adjustment so they realize the problem with Beastmaster base. Anything that's letting you summon stuff lets you command it with your bonus action.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a use for your bonus action regularly, which is never a bad thing. But, use your bonus action, let them do full things. And, of course, finally with the capstone, increasing the range of your horrifying performance and letting you be able to immediately trigger, have a bite, and then have disadvantage on a saving throw against that feature all at once. Is a lot of wonderful.
Yeah, and target a different save as well. If you know they have high con, maybe they don't have a high wisdom, and they have disadvantage against it, there you go. You have a way to work around that.
Which is wonderful. So, a lot of high floor options with this. Where you run into challenges, there are some, a couple of different constitution saving throws and limited use on the stuff. Because your horrifying performance is once per short or long rest. Granny's here is once per long rest. Now, granted, she stays around until she's knocked unconscious. She's knocked to 0 hit points, or you die. But it still only is once. So there is some limitation in terms of that. But all of what you get, we really like. So we went with a 4 out of a possible 5.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely really interesting. And just kind of switching over to the synergy, there is a lot of internal synergy. And I'm always a big fan of stuff that scales as you level up. So
Very
just
much
having
so.
different abilities. I mean, there's multiple abilities in this that scale. I mean, you have a bite is the obvious one. It just specifically every 5 levels.
It scales itself.
It's going up.
3, 5, 10, 15.
Yeah. It's just great. I mean, the grannies here, it's a hag. It scales with proficiency bonus, so that's nice. And, your actual level of the bar, you get more health.
Yeah.
So there's some synergy with that. Poisonous performance goes along with your horrifying performance, scaling directly off that, giving you extra usage, which also ties in and lets you get another way to have a bite.
Yep.
So some great internal
Has
synergy.
better chance of it hitting because it have disadvantage on the save.
Absolutely. So some very clever. I really like the way that they tied these abilities together. And it can be very difficult when making something like this to tie the abilities together without it just feeling like you have one ability.
Yeah.
But the way that they did it here, I think they did really well.
Yep.
So I'm a big fan of this as it's for its actual creative process and how they actually built it.
And I think it works. That works better on a subclass that gets a capstone earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if your capstone is just doing a little bit of buff to all your other things at like level 18, you're like, really? That's all I get? But at 14, you're like, okay, yeah, I'll take that.
Sure. Might actually get to use it.
Yeah, I actually get to play my subclass in its entirety.
Right. And, just getting an extra use for your Bardic Inspiration, always nice to have more utility with that. And, of course, too, with, Granny, summoning Granny, summoning Granny.
I thought you were doing something intentionally there. It's like, summoning Granny up in here.
With that, I mean, it gives you extra utility. You get extra damage, potentially. Some soft crowd control in there as well, potentially. It is limited quite a bit, though, with your one limited. It does last for an hour, so it's limited once a day, but it lasts for an hour.
Yeah.
But it's got a good hit points, but its abilities, are...
It doesn't hit for a ton of damage. The good thing about the damage is it is psychic damage when it attacks with a claw, so that's good.
Yeah, so we'll take it. It's just having another body out there never hurts.
Yep.
So all that being said, we went with a 4 in the synergy as well.
Just a very solid across the board option, and I like those.
Yes, I do too.
As much as I love talking about smashing things with combat, I do like my role play sometimes.
Yeah,
and I tend to prefer subclasses that give you good options all the way around.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like you're useless or you're underwhelming at the very least in certain areas. Because there are definitely some combat busted subclasses that are useless in RP.
Yeah,
and there's some
definitely.
RP focused stuff that feels like it doesn't want to go into combat.
Right, definitely. Yeah, so it's nice seeing
those things still should exist because there are some more RP focused campaigns and they have no use for that.
Yeah, for sure. But
then you get stuff like this, it's just good at everything.
We'll take it. So yeah, definitely a big fan of this one. Probably one of the better designed subclasses, I would say, from what we reviewed. If there was like a unique / creativity score as well, great score for that as well. If we did that,
yeah. Probably have to be a 4 though, right? Because we're just doing 4s across the board.
Keep it flat.
Yeah,
perfectly balanced.
That's all things should be.
Yeah, that's basically a meme now. It should be a shirt probably, but
that's
going to
keep making that list longer.
Yep.
But you're a warlock. But you're a half caster.
Yeah, just keep adding it onto the list. But that's all for today.
Yep.
So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when all of our new videos are coming out. Don't forget to check out our sponsors in the link down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Go digital this winter. Immerse yourself with the latest release, Lore of Aethera, The Lost Druid. This science fantasy adventure uses cinematic storytelling to bring you a fully immersive experience. There's also the stunning islands of Sina Una, inspired by Filipino mythology and culture. Embark on an epic adventure as birds and other woodland critters in Humblewood, and hundreds of new magic items for your adventure with the Griffin Saddlebag PDF. Check out the Humblewood and Heckna STLs. Support the channel by going to hitpointpress.com for all of your 5e needs.